excited about the season because of the senior leadership. We do return everybody from last year, which is great. And there's a different, I would say, spirit on the team, a different, but definitely we're more mature. And so they're solving problems on their own rather than having to look for me. I'll just give you one example. We just had a scrimmage. We were down 14-2 early and had to call timeout. And I did very little talking at that timeout because the guys were figuring out what was wrong. And they went out and we reeled it back in. So things like that where they're parroting me or things that have been said in the program for years and years. You know, for them, it's been 4 years. And so they're imbibing it. They're on board with it. So it's and the other thing that I'm really impressed with this group is that they've done a great job of mentoring the underclassmen. So we have 6 freshmen, and they each have an upperclassman mentor that's helping them throughout this first semester. But specifically, they're at this point, it's more just basketball related, and I can just tell how much that they care for those guys and bringing them up to speed, which is actually really important for us for practice, because if you have a senior who really knows the ropes and then you're trying to put a freshman in there, and usually the freshman's going to screw up somehow. Okay, he's not going to run the play right or not do a drill right. But that has been maybe the case in the first week of practice, but it's been rectified because of all the time that the upperclassmen are putting into the freshmen. So the leadership of this group is, it is in the senior class, even though one has been elected captain. The other ones are not. They don't have the C on their uniform, but they're all leaders in their own right because they've all, in some way, shape, or form throughout their career here, have gotten a lot of playing time, significant playing time, and some have started. So Chase Yarborough is one of the elected captains. You could say that, yeah, he's definitely one of our best players. He was our leading scorer last year. He may have been the leading scorer in the entire conference last year. And he's an emotional leader, but leads by example. He's not going to ask you to do something that he's not willing to do. And that's even on the defensive end of the floor. But Jonah Bach as well. Jonah will be playing the 2 guard with Chase, although Chase can play both the point guard and the shooting guard. Russ Gump as well, and he's coming off an injury, but he's been able to play the last couple of weeks in practice. Has started several games at the power forward position. Jackson Wayforth is another young man that has gone from kind of rags to riches because he was actually cut as a junior, but halfway through the season, we just had a mutual agreement that we needed him back on the team and got some playing time. And so he's fighting for playing time, and he knows our system as well as anybody. He's like a poster child for how to do things right. Ben Kano is another one who has started earlier in his career, got significant playing time this past year. Bobby Little is another one who, at the end of last year, he was starting at the power or the center position for us. Great rebounder, runs the floor well. He's coming off an injury, so he may not be ready early on. So those are the guys that are leading us right now, and again, they're doing a great job. Johnny Ward, yeah, John's a quiet kid, but knows our offense and defense. Great passer, and he's worked on his game. So now, as a power forward, he can spread the floor more as a 3-point shooter, and he's going to have to do that. Great defender. He's one of those young men that he's just never out of position defensively. So all that plus the wisdom of their experience, and they're doing a great job of leading the freshmen. So we have 6 freshmen, just as many seniors, but those freshmen are wet behind the ears in a lot of ways, just like every freshman class is. But what we've taken notice of with these seniors is how well they've been able to get those freshmen on board in terms of just the little things, whether it's the standards of practice, whether it's a particular type of drill, they're teaching them. Rather than leaving them. There's no freshman left behind. In our program, and I attribute that to the seniors. Yeah, Kyle Randall is going to be starting at the point guard position. Last year, he was a starter at the 2 guard, but we've kind of moved him over. Although really our guards are combo guards; they can play both. But our offense is running a little bit better, we think, with Kyle Randall at the 1 and Chase Yarborough at the 2. So he had a great summer. It just shows in his shooting. It shows in his confidence right now. David Ollinger, who right now he's injured. He broke the orbital bone in his eye, so he'll be out probably another 2 or 3 weeks. But just a hustle guy. He makes plays by just to excess. He plays in excess, I would say, and that's how he helps us. He runs the floor well, gets rebounds, great passer. So we're going to be relying on him as well. Mike Christensen, who started last year, and he's going to start this year at the 3 guard, or the forward, small forward, whatever you want to call it. And he may be the unsung hero right now of our team because he does everything well, and so he can score inside, but he can also score outside. He's a great defender, great post player. So he's another one. And then Christian Sushavano, who is going to graduate early. But Christian has been battling a back injury his whole career, and it's going to be plaguing him this year because it's a chronic injury. But brings leadership and just like a steady hand at the power forward. So those are our juniors. Yeah, they're all doing well. Probably the one that has made the most strides was Isaac Cherry. Last year, he broke into the starting lineup as a freshman in December and was one of our best inside players, a great rebounder, protected the rim, and he's one of those young men. You tell him to do something once, and he takes it to heart, and then he goes and works on it on his own. And I can give you just one example. We didn't think he was in great shape to play long minutes. And so we told him that, you're just going to have to step it up, cardiovascularly, right? And so he was doing sprints on his own on the football field or on the soccer field in the dead of winter when we were here over Christmas break and New Year's break. And that's why he was able to play. Like we just told him once and he did it. Just another example of his coachability. He had trouble finishing with his left hand inside. So we told him once, and then lo and behold, by the end of the season, he's scoring as many inside points with his left hand as he is with his right. So he's been a pleasant surprise, and he was elected one of our captains as well. By the way, the other ones are Kyle Randall and Mike Christensen. So another one is Austin Johncourt, who no one knows about because he got injured in the first 4 minutes of the first game that he ever played last year and was out the entire season with a knee injury. But he's going to be fighting for maybe a starting role. He's big. He's like 6'9", and he's mobile. And I know he put in a lot of time over the summer. And you just can't teach 6'9" and mobile with good hands. And he's very good at protecting the paint. So he and Isaac Cherry are probably the best on the team. And we may start them both, or one may back up the other. It depends on, how we match up with our opponent. But those two guys, Drew Collins has shown marked improvement and is going to be battling for some time at the 2 guard. So those are the significant contributors. Caleb Haller. How can I not forget Caleb? Caleb is he broke into the lineup late last year. This is when we made our run, when we were playing our best basketball, because he's able to spread the floor. He has guard skills. He can shoot like a guard, but he's 6'5" and he's really, really strong. So we can play him at the 1, the 2, the 3, or the 4, and we just so happen to play him at the 4, and that's where we're going to play him again this year. Oh, Owen Wolf, that's right. So Owen did not play much last year. I think he scored all of 2 points. And he's a homeschool kid. So didn't play. I mean, he had to be on the floor for his high school team, his homeschool team, like 32 minutes a game, which is impossible to do if you're going to play both ends of the floor. So his challenge was, how do you play hard for just 1 minute? Because he may only play for 1 minute spurts, and then he's going to come out because of our hockey-like substitutions. And this year he's getting that, and he's one of the young men that has taken ownership of his own skill development. I would say last year he was extrinsically motivated, and this year, like, I don't have to tell him to get into the gym. He's going to do that on his own, and that's doing extra sprints to get himself in great shape. That's doing extra work on his inside moves. It's extra work on his perimeter skills, and he's got good hands, and he finishes inside. And not every big man can do that, but he has a knack for putting the ball in the hole above 50% when he's in a one-on-one situation inside. So he'll be another young man that's going to be fighting for time this year, and certainly next year when we graduate all those seniors. It's not overlooking the details, like the way we were able to make a run and play our best basketball at the end of the season wasn't like magic. It wasn't so much adjusting the personnel. It was our personnel, like just doing those little things that are so important to our scheme. So I know that sounds like coach speak, but we only run one offense, and we run 2 different defenses. So that's all you have to master. But all those details that we do in practice have to be carried over to a game. And we were up and down with that throughout the season. Part of it was we were young and maybe didn't have a belief in how good we could be. Well, this year, what I'm seeing in the first 18 practices is that they are doing those little things. Why? Because that's how we were able to kind of make that run at the end of the season. So it's just not being distracted with all the other stuff that a team can be distracted with maybe where you're ranked in the preseason or who your opponent's going to be. You know, we don't even care who our opponents are. We're going to run the flex offense, and we have to do it really, really well every possession. And so I think that it's just making sure that we're just going to play to our standards, which we wrote out before the season, and just adhering to those. And not being bored with doing those little things right again and again and again. Yeah, it's like Murderer's Row. I mean, I don't think anybody is going to run away with it. From top to bottom, anybody can beat anybody. And that's the way it was last year. So, and our guys are mature enough to understand that. And not that they would overlook anybody when you don't have any seniors on the team like last year. We never did that. And maybe as a senior-laden team, you may think that way. But again, I think they're too mature to understand. And they understand how we have to play to overlook anybody. So, but I don't think there's any other sport, maybe women's volleyball is pretty close, but where number 1 and number 11 can beat number 1 on any given night. And I think that's the way it's going to be this year. A lot of it could depend on matchups. A lot of it could depend on who's healthy. And for us, it's just we got standards, and we got to play to those standards. And I have to be a good enough coach to not to keep it simple for them, just to keep it simple, to keep the distractions away, and just say, look, guys, these are the things we got to be great at, and let's just focus on those things.